Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. You're still watching Rapid Done right here on Rapid Television. Thanks to Victor Ijoma for bringing us a sports update. My name is Victor. Okay, and of course, we're moving on straight to the big conversation. And today we are looking at two powerful sides of Nigeria's security story, investment in the future and concerns from the past. Recently, President Bola Tinubu has approved the establishment of a new police academy campus in Erinja, Yawa South local government area of Ogun State. Alongside this, a 15 billion naira takeoff grant has been approved, according to its media aide Bayo Onanuga. This move is aimed at expanding training capacity and strengthening the police force in the long term. But at the same time, here in Abuja, retired police officers are protesting, raising serious concerns about unpaid pensions and poor welfare after years of service. So the big question today is, can a system truly move forward if those who served it feel left behind? And to help us break this down, we are joined by a public affairs analyst, Eyimosan Weimi Mufasa. Mufasa, good morning to you and thank you for being here with us this morning. Hello, Mufasa, can you hear me? All right, Mufasa is going to be joining us just in a moment to continue with the conversation. But do stay with us. Once we come back, we're going to link up with Mufasa for this conversation. Glad to be back on Rapid On this morning. And of course, we're talking about the new campus that was approved by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and also the 15 billion naira startup grant for the campus. Also, the protests of the retired Nigerian police who are basically, they are protesting as against their unpaid pensions, even as of today. And they promised that when they are taking the protest to the Asu Villa today. And to join us on this conversation, we have Weimi Eyimosan Mufasa. Mufasa, good morning to you and welcome to the big conversation.
Yeah, thank you very much, Victor. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, it's good to have you. Let's begin the conversation with what I see to be a contradiction. Government announcing a new police academy campus in Ogun State with the 15 billion naira grant that has also been approved. On the other side, we have retired officers that are on the streets saying that they are old and neglected. Now, the question is Nigeria building a strong police system or just building new structures while ignoring old responsibilities?
Thank you very much once again. I think it's a good thing. I mean, it's a fantastic gesture that the government is trying to add value, to the Nigerian police institution. Even though some of us would want to query why just one, but I think you can start from one. I'm aware that we have several police training centers, police colleges that are in a worse state of dilapidation, and if this intervention, could go around the length and breadth of the entire country so that we can have a well solidified police institution, so that we can have a police institution that will be proud to call our own, it would have been fantastic. But the government, perhaps they want to start with that of Ogun State. I think what we just do is to commend them and hope that they do more. You understand?
Right.
That is what I have to say to that.
Now, do you also think that whilst this is done, whilst we've given them the kudos, do you think that they're also neglecting the responsibilities of the old, especially because we'll see that, retired police officers are on the street right here in the city of Abuja protesting over unpaid pensions?
Well, that particular issue is a very shameful one. That was why I started with commending what the government had done in trying to give that particular police training center a facelift. Now, when you look at the whole scenario surrounding this whole agitation, by the retired police officers, you beg to wonder, what is the plan? What is the plan that the government have for the average police officer who toil day and night, in the streets to keep our communities safe? If a policeman do not have that assurance of a better life after service, I'm sure you don't expect that police officer to give you his best, because we keep complaining every now and then of setting on professional conduct of most police officers. And, if you want to trace to what could even be the cause, why a policeman would want to boldly go against the ethics and standards of the profession, these are some of the, the pointers. These are some of the hints that you would turn to. Because if a policeman is not sure of a better life after service, of course, that some of them are even exposed to the point that they pay the ultimate price. And this man is not sure of what is out there after the life of, being a policeman. You don't expect that man to give you his best. You don't expect that man to, conduct himself in a professional and orderly manner, because for him, he feels that after making all these sacrifices, what will I fall back to? So that's why I said it's a very shameful thing. This is not the first time. I think there was once like that where the popular activist, Omoyele Sowore, when he came out with retired police officer, that was a couple of months ago. I'm sure you are very much aware of that. Really? About the same issue. And if the government had not thought it expedient to look into this matter, for me, I think is a recipe for disaster, because these are people who have been trained to handle firearms. These are people who have gone through series of training, security-wise. And if these people begin to feel agitated, if these people begin to feel neglected for obvious reasons, then they become exposed to most of these criminal elements. As we speak, we're having issues with security, where you see the terrorists and the bandits are becoming more coordinated, are becoming more organized. And you think these people, they are not having the training and tutelage of some of these our retired veterans who are feeling agitated, who are feeling neglected. And to them, perhaps, allegedly, they could feel that, oh, let us see if these people would pay better for our services. And these are some of the things that we're not looking into as a nation. So for me, it is unfortunate, it is sad, it is unacceptable for a policeman, after you have gone through all the rigorous time, of serving your nation, and you will now be left to your fate. It's quite unfortunate. I was having a discussion the other day with a retired police officer, who told me that some of them, even as a deputy superintendent of police, that your gratuity after serving for 35 years is not more than 1.5 million naira. Wow. Yes. And, a lot of them like that. Or do you want to look into even the ones who are still serving, the ones who they will tell you that, oh, the operational vehicles, they contribute money to maintain operational vehicles? Is it the ones that will tell you that even in the police stations, in fact, I've gone to several police stations, I'm sure we've had this discussion before.
Oh, yeah, we have.
Where a police station as big as an area command, you walk into an area command and you see people sitting on benches. You don't have power. You don't have CCTV cameras. The generating set that I saw, one small makeshift generator that we popularly call a pass my neighbor, that generator was bought by the DPO, who was posted to the commander. The commander was posted to that command, bought the generator with his money, and I'm very sure if he's going out of that place, he goes with his generator. They maintain their offices and police stations. So if you don't invest in the police institution, if you don't guarantee the police officer let's say, if not even the best, but at least a considerable welfare package, how do you expect the fight against insecurity to gather momentum? That is the issue.
And this is a question that I'm begging for answer, Mufasa. And again, because
serious answers.
Many Nigerians have also raised the concern about the quick approval of the 15 billion naira, startup grant fund for the new police academy. And also because all of this is going hand in glove together. While that is happening, the protest of course is going on right now, even as we speak. Now the question again is, why do you think that the government, has approved the 15 billion naira for the police academy, and it's taking them years, and it seems like it's difficult, for the pensions to be paid to these pensioners? Because this is not the first time in 2026 that they are actually hitting the streets.
Yeah, and you see, there's what they call scale of preference in basic economics, where you line up your scale of preference, and then again, you also begin to work on your needs based on needs assessment and priority. I'm not saying that trying to remodel or give the police college or whatever a facelift, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's the same human beings, because the people that will be on that will be trained in that facilities are human beings.
Of course.
And if they don't have the requisite welfare package, if they are not sure of a better life after service, that particular facility becomes a building of people who are agitated, of people who are angry. The purpose will be defeated. So like you rightly said, when you have police officers, retired police officers, as we speak, on the street of Abuja, agitating, demanding for their due and proper, and the government has channeled such an amount of money to build a facility, which is not a bad thing. I'm not saying that building that facility or approving that grant, of course, we cannot even rule out the possibility of that money not even used for its purpose. That one is another kettle of fish. You understand what I'm saying? It's possible that some of these things also, they have their own ways of finding, their ways into the pocket of private individuals, the senior officers and all of that. But what we are saying is, retired police officers who have contributed their own money as contributory pension scheme, it's not as if the government is adding anything to it. If they are complaining that this our money, we don't even want this particular pattern anymore. What we want is a more better, package for us, to cater for us when we've, left active service. Some of them, they leave the service with, ailments, and some of them with gunshot injuries. Some of them have families, and you expect them to fall back to such meager amounts, and you want them to be happy, and you are approving a grant of over 50-something billion for a facility. Is it not human beings that... Sorry?
15 billion.
15 billion naira, sorry.
Yeah.
15 billion naira. It's not human beings that will occupy that facility. When these human beings are not happy, do you think they will give in their best? So it becomes counterproductive at the end of the day. What we are saying is the government should have a list of needs assessment. The government should go after what would be the primary need and concern of these people. Of course, reforming the police is total and holistic. We have what it takes to do all of these things, even if we want to do all of these things at the same time. The Nigerian government has what it takes. But with the way they are running the police now, I do not think, the government has any serious intention, in improving our policing system. Otherwise, issues will be taken, one step at a time on the basis of needs assessment.
All right.
That is the only way that you can go a long way to satisfy some of these needs of the people, especially the police. You don't joke with the police.
Not at all.
Because if you joke with the police, you joke with the lives of the average Nigerian man. Oh, the police people are collecting bribes on the road. They are collecting roadblock. They are doing this and that. If you sit down with some of these police officers and they tell you the kind of pressure they are being put under, some of them, they are given targets on the road. You send a policeman on the road to go and generate revenue to run the police force. Is that how you want our security situation to improve?
From the knowledge you're sharing right now, who sends the policeman to the road, to go generate revenue?
They will tell you that the money goes up there. I don't want to begin to, categorically state the office that is going to. But when the policeman tells you that the money goes up there, and let us not feign ignorance of these things, the money goes up, it goes up, and that is the truth. If you don't want to remit, they take you off from the street and go and drop you somewhere that you'll be meant to suffer. It's not supposed to be like that.
So corruption, corruption, bribery on the street has now become a part of the system because, according to what you're saying, because of negligence?
It has been normalized because of the activities of the high echelon of the police command, because of the negligence on the part of government. Because these things are things that has been with us for a very long time. We are not hearing this thing for the first time.
Of course not.
It has been with us for a very long time, and it seems as though the more things changes, the more they get worse. There's no improvement. If not, after the whole NSAS protest and all of that, and the reform that was promised by the Nigerian government, one would have expected that by now we will not be having this kind of discussion. But obviously, it's a complete far cry. There's nothing like any hope in sight. And my major concern now is these people, they handle weapons, they handle firearms, and they are agitated, they are angry. And when a man is angry, when a man is hungry, the man becomes vulnerable to all manner of, manipulations, both on the side of politicians, on the side of other criminal elements in the society and all of that. Every man will want to, consider his material consciousness, because, like they popularly say, that is the material condition of a man that determines his consciousness.
All right. Let's even talk about the morale. Let's talk about the morale, of the Nigerian police force right now. Again, still just opposing these both situations going on. The approval of a new campus in Ogun State, and of course the 15 billion naira that will reiterate it so much. Also, the Nigerian police, retired police personnel right now on the street protesting. Now, when these new officers that are being trained in some of these campuses get to see their senior colleagues or retired colleagues protesting on the street, what message do you think this is going to pass to them?
No, it's going to send a very wrong signal. There's no gainsaying that. It definitely affects their morale and commitment. There's no gainsaying that. Yes, and when you don't have the essentials, when the potentials don't get the essentials, commitment and performance becomes inconsequential. That is the simple truth. When a serving police officer sees his retired, or senior colleagues on the street agitating for their welfare after service, what message do you think that is sending to that man? The message is simply this: if you have any means to gather money for yourself, to sort yourself out after service, just start doing it now. Whether if it's criminal in nature, whether if it's unprofessional conduct, anything that you can do to prepare for your life after retirement, becomes the order of the day. And that is why you keep seeing police officers, in spite of what they complain by Nigerians about the extortion, exploitations and oppression and all of that, they keep doing it. You keep seeing it because of some of these things that you see, that you are not sure of your welfare after service. So, you cannot spend 35 years in the police and come out and and become a beggar, Then if you don't want to beg, you have other options by using the skills and experience that you had while in service. Those skills and experience will now be channeled into other criminal ventures, and that alone is a disaster waiting to happen. So for me, I think that the government should channel its energy into the priority of these our security agencies. We're not just talking about the police, we're talking about the army, we're talking about the SSS, we're talking about the civil defense and all other of our security apparatus.
Right.
They need to be treated well so that you can demand the best from them. If you are not giving them the best, you shouldn't expect them to give you their best. And we'll continue to hear a series of, incessant cases of oppression, exploitation, and other forms of social vices that most police officers have been accused of. And it's not the proper way to go if we want to advance, as a nation and succeed in combating insecurity. We can achieve that if we continue this way, yeah.
Now, of course, you did mention to the situation, especially when it comes to the protest, as a welfare issue. But is it truly a welfare issue, or this has also gotten to a security unaccountability issue right now as we speak? Because beyond the welfare, these are things that, of course, the government should have prepared for a long time ago, knowing that individuals will work for a period of time, they will retire, and once they retire, their pension has got to be paid to them, and in some cases, gratuities as well has got to be paid to them. But we've seen this being repeated over and over again. And at what point do we take this away from welfare and deal with the systemic, accountability, situation that has to also do with the Nigerian police force when it comes to pension payment or pension non-payment now?
Well, it's of course is a welfare issue. And it also goes to show negligence on the part of government. Like we all know, this is not a new matter. This issue has been with us for a very long time. So there is no way that the people in power will feign ignorance of what the average police officer on the street is passing through. The government will not feign ignorance of some of these issues that borders on life after service of a police officer, those who were killed in active service, some certain kind of reprieve for their family. These are some of the things that have not been considered by the Nigerian state. And for me, it goes a long way to demoralize the police. We will keep saying that if you don't treat them well, don't expect to get the best from them. And everything boils down on welfare. If the welfare of the policeman is not taken into serious consideration, and then you expect him not to agitate, then you are being unrealistic. The government themselves, I'm sure they see what they do in other climes that they go to. Our political class, they travel to Europe and America and they see how things are properly organized there. I'm not saying that there's any perfection anywhere, but we can try our best, to upgrade our system. The politicians themselves, they pay their entitlement, their pensions, allowance, and all of that. The politician that will be in office for just at least an average of 8 years, when they come out, they are sure of their pension. And it comes as at when due, It comes as at when due. Right. They don't come to begin to agitate. That's the truth. Politicians, they don't starve themselves for some of these things. So why should the common man, why should the policeman, why should the lecturer, why should the doctors, why should they be the ones to suffer for them? Why should their own case be different? Why shouldn't they get their own pension as the politicians are getting theirs? It's not as if the money is not there. In fact, in this case, these are people contributing their own. It's not as if the government is giving them anything. It's a contributory pension scheme.
Right.
And they're saying that it's not even helping us. So there has to be another way to improve on our welfare. After serving as a policeman, after exposing myself to all manner of danger in the society, of course, we know that some are just, annoying. Of course, we know some police officers could be very annoying, and we still go blame it on the system. You still go back to blame it on the system, because if the system is not giving you that encouragement, if the system is not gingering you, is not encouraging you to do better, you would want to easily go astray. And that is the case that we see today in the street, where police officers, they are just showing all manner of unprofessional conduct. So these are some of the things. And if we don't solve this problem from the root, if you don't solve it from the root, then we'll keep moving around in circles. Oh, the policeman was caught in the act of unprofessional conduct. He has been subjected to orderly room trial. He has been dismissed. He has been this and that and all of that. That will not solve the problem, even though it's part of what would, make police officers know that when you commit an offense, there has to be consequences. But let us look into, why are these people constantly, that you punish one policeman today, 3 others will still go ahead and begin to do, what is termed as unprofessional conduct? Because they have seen their colleagues who have retired come on the street and begin to agitate for their welfare. So that alone sends the signal to them that, oh, if we don't begin to plan for our retirement today, we will not survive after this, work. So what they do is they go into other criminal means, they go into other unprofessional means to help themselves. And the innocent citizens will not be the ones to suffer for it. So it's an unfortunate situation that we are in as a people. And the leadership of this country need to take some of these issues very seriously. Otherwise, we will not be able to achieve anything in the fight against insecurity and criminality.
And of course, first, I do recall that over time we've had the talks of repeated police reform in this part of the world, where Nigerians have, repeatedly called for the reform of the Nigerian police force. Basically, even when the new IGP was sworn into office, he also talked about the fact that there's going to be certain reforms that will help position the Nigerian police force in a good light. But over time, we still see, whilst we hear the repeated, reform conversations going on in the social space, we still see some of those challenges, like the unpaid pension, of course, gratuities, and the rest of these challenges going on within the Nigerian police force. At what point, can we really say that there's a reform going on that is being progressive, other than being redundant or even just being stagnant?
No, this whole talk about reform and all of that is just audio. We are not seeing any. You understand? Let us not deceive ourselves. Reform is not lip service. You don't reform an institution by just talking. It's not. It doesn't amount to anything. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So let us stop deceiving ourselves. There's nothing like reform in the police. Otherwise, we'll be seeing some significant improvements, both in the services provided by the police and in their welfare package. But nothing is changing. So that one is just by the wayside. You know what I'm saying? That there's no reform. Now, let us even look at some of these statements that most IG, when an Inspector General of Police is appointed, he reads the Riot Act. And that has become like a kind of a tradition. Oh, as the IG comes in, it's going to instill discipline. There will be no tolerance to unprofessional conduct. We are putting a ban on roadblocks on the road. The policeman should not check your phones. You have every right to record the policeman when he's doing his job. These are some of the things that they just say by mouth. But it's not applicable, it's not operational, because we have not seen any sincerity of purpose and intention in the so-called reform that they claim they are doing. If there is sincerity of purpose and intention, if there is that commitment, if there is that seriousness, we'll be seeing results. no matter how small that result is, you'll be seeing that result. But we are not seeing any. So what kind of reform are they doing? Are they reforming their pocket, or they are reforming their stomach? You know, that's why I said all of this talk about reform is audio. It's not. There's nothing on the ground. You know, you still walk into a police station and you don't find even a mainframe computer. I'm not talking about, you know, modern laptops that they will need to monitor what is happening around the vicinity. You cannot find a mainframe. You know what a mainframe computer is?
Of course.
That one that has big hunchback and you see the CPU on the ground. You can't find it. You can't find it in any police station. I stand to be corrected. Even the ones that you see, some DPOs that you see with their laptops, these are their personal laptops that they bring from their house. And it's not even advisable that what is used in the police station is a personal property that you can take to your house. You understand what I'm saying? Security-wise, it's not ideal. But, you know, it's sure where you make do with what you have. You know, they say when the desirable is not available, the available becomes desirable. And that is the situation that we are finding ourselves as a people. That is why the issue of insecurity, the issue of professional misconduct, the issue of oppression and suppression by police officers will still continue. Because we are not serious. The government is not serious in reforming the police. The police commission, you know, the Nigerian Police Commission or National Police Commission or so, you know, they are not serious in reforming the police. So what we just keep hearing is audio reforms that you don't see being implemented anywhere because they don't want any reform. If there's a reform in the police, those people who benefit from the corruption in the police system, they won't be able to make all the kind of money they are making today. That is why we are here. We are where we are today as a people.
Now, Mufasa, as someone who actually interact with the Nigerian police on certain levels as well, and also someone who has the knowledge on the public views on some of the situations that we're passing through as a nation, what would be your recommendation, you know, to ensuring that the pensions that has been owed to the retired police officers can be paid, and then we don't get to see a repetition of retired police officers hitting the streets in protest for their pensions and gratuities?
Well, you see, they say when purpose is unknown, abuse is inevitable. You know, there are issues that the government need to address, and these issues are clearly stated in, you know, the list of items that these people, you know, retired police officers, including serving officers, you know, that they are clamoring for. I think the government should look into their plights and see how not even some, most of the issues are resolved amicably, you know. They are saying that this contributory pension scheme is not even helping them, because I wonder how much they will be able to contribute in the entire lifetime of service. Some of them retire as constables, some of them retire as sergeants, some of them retire as inspectors, and after retirement, your gratuity is over 500,000 to 1.5 million naira. What would that be? What would that do for you? Would that money be able to sustain you for the entire life of retirement? Then let's assume that your retirement, your salary that comes as pension, your pension is nothing, is within the range of 30,000, 25,000, 50,000, or 70,000 as the case may be. When you juxtapose it with our current reality, would that one be able to even buy your drugs? So these are some of the things that the government needs to look into. And secondly, the government should also do a holistic, you know, needs assessment of all our security apparatus. I'm talking about the police, the army, the navy, the police, the army, the DSS, the civil defense. The government should do a thorough needs assessment. Enough of all the rhetorics, oh, we are doing reforms, and let us be sincere for once. Go to the police headquarters, invite the DPOs, invite the area commanders, invite the heads of some police units, tactical units, do on-the-spot assessment of what the police stations look like, what the barracks, look at what it looks like, and see on how to improve on these things.
All right, Mufasa.
When you don't motivate a policeman or a military man, if he doesn't get the needed motivation, don't expect him to go and, put his life in the line of duty.
All right.
Don't expect him to respond when there is an emergency call. It is simple logic.
All right.
You cannot get you can't get something from nothing.
All right.
That is the simple truth.
All right, Mufasa, thank you so much for your time with us this morning. I do appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
All right. Well, we've been talking to Eyimoson Waymi Mufasa, a public affairs analyst, and we've been tackling the issues of retired police officers on the streets of Abuja protesting for their unpaid pension, and also getting to see the federal government approving a new police training campus in Ogun State with a 15 billion naira grant that has also been approved in line to that. Just opposing the whole situation, whilst we're building the future for the Nigerian police, also there has been concerns that the past, which of course are the veterans, they are being neglected, and these are things that needs to be looked into as much as possible. But that being said, this is all we're going to be taking on to this edition of Rapid Done right here on Rapid Television. Do remember that you can follow us on all our social media pages across our platforms at Rapid TV, and you can get to watch all our episodes on our YouTube platform, which is at official Rapid TV. And wherever you are in the world, you can watch us live using our website www.arabianradiotv.com. My name is Victor. Okay, see you tomorrow.